Well, hello.
Wow.
Hi.
Well, I guess I'm going to say a hello. Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of MASHO. We're all going to be a little awkward because, of course, this is our first time recording it. But
Pretty much.
We're having a great time.
Yeah.
So, welcome. This is MASHO. It's going to be a political opinion podcast. Most of the people in this podcast do have very left-leaning views, but we encourage you to stay, listen to us. I don't know, you might learn something, you might change your mind, and feel free to reach out to us if you want to talk, because we're all people that are very open to discussion. And yeah, so welcome.
And a little disclaimer before we begin. All information in this podcast is backed up by facts and sources, but these are also our personal opinions. So remember that when you're listening.
Yep. So basically what we're going to do for this first episode is, of course, just introduce everyone, talk about what our personal political views are. What everyone is going to do, what we all did before this first episode is we took a test to see where exactly we align. We took the I side with political opinion test. You could just find, if you want to take it too, you can just find it at isidewith.com. I believe that is the exact link. So yeah, if someone wants to start.
All right. Hi, I'm Maeve, and I'm personally more leftist, and my I side with test, if that's what it's called, gave me this. It was 95% Democratic, 95% Green, 95% Socialist, 93% Peace and Freedom, 90% Transhumanist, 33% Libertarian, but then only 1% for Constitution and Republican.
Oh, wow.
And
wow, you got real low on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's going next? Is that Sienna?
I can go next. Well, hi, I'm Sienna. I identify as a leftist, but of course leftist is a very broad term. For my test results, I got 98% socialist,
Wow.
81% Democrat, 60% transhumanist, 41% libertarian, 6% Republican, and 2% Constitution. Which I'm not surprised, but
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Hi, this is Allie, and I would consider myself a leftist, and when I took the I side with quiz, I got a 95% for Green, a 95% for Socialist, a 93% for Democratic, a 91% for Peace and Freedom, a 90% for Transhumanist, and 21% for Libertarian, 1% for Constitution, and 0% for Republican.
Wow. Jeez.
Wow.
Does anyone know
God.
what the actual definition of transhumanist is?
No,
I honestly don't know it either.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
It's like decentralization, democracy, progressive.
It says transhumanism is a philosophical movement that advocates for transformation of the human condition by developing and making widely available sophisticated technologies to greatly enhance human intellect and
Oh,
physiology.
wow.
That sounds fancy.
That's a
but I don't know.
mouthful.
fancy.
Yeah.
Well, then that explains my political results. Should I go then? Okay.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Alright. Hi, my name is Haley, and I'd like to think of myself as a centrist, which means I don't have extreme right or left-wing views. And for my quiz, I got 95% transhumanist, 91 democratic, 91 green, 89 peace and freedom, 87 socialist, 30 libertarian, 9 constitution, and 8 republican. So, yeah.
I believe I got results for the Green Party. I think it was in the 90s, but I totally forgot to say it.
It's okay.
I was ripping paper and I was like, oh wait, I need to be quiet.
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead.
So my name's Olivia, and I also consider myself a leftist. And I got 96% socialist, 98% democratic, 2% republican, 96% green, 91% transhumanist, 92% peace and freedom, and 32% libertarian.
Nice.
Awesome.
Alright,
Okay.
I'll go. I also consider myself. Oh, wait.
My name's Reese, and I also consider myself a leftist. My results were 90% Democratic, 90% Green, 87% Socialist, 87% Peace and Freedom, 79% Transhumanist, 11% Libertarian, 9% Constitution, and 0% Republican.
11% libertarian. Wow.
Hey,
Wow.
0%.
Fun.
Okay, is
For
that
anyone
everyone?
that doesn't understand the term leftist that is listening out here, basically leftist, it can be taken different ways. Really, it just means anyone that is on the left of the political compass. So it could be anyone on the authoritarian left or on the libertarian left. We are all somewhere in the libertarian left. Basically, the term leftist can refer to someone who is a more extreme on the left, referring to people like socialists or communists or anarchist, which anarchists are on both sides of the spectrum, but anarchy is usually seen as a more left side idea. But I definitely wouldn't consider myself too extreme of a leftist, but I would definitely consider myself much farther on the left than, like, you can think the Democratic Party in America.
Agreed.
Me too.
Yeah, thanks for explaining that, Sienna.
Am I the only
Because we all
non-leftist?
mentioned it.
Yeah,
I guess
so.
Ah, okay.
Some
Well, at least we
flavor
have-
in the group.
Yeah. Oh God. All right. Well, what would we like to talk about now?
Well, since we're on the topic of parties, why don't we talk about some misconceptions of different parties and political beliefs in the U.S. Because the U.S. has really weird politics.
Oh,
If you
I'll
guys-
talk.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I cut you off. Anyway, but I was gonna say most people think that like when somebody says Republican, they automatically think conservative, and when somebody says leftist, they automatically think Democrat. And a liberal. But liberal and leftist and Democrat, they're all completely different things. But most people think that they're the same name for the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like they think the names are interchangeable.
Exactly.
Yeah,
True.
But a leftist, like you said, is more it's like more extreme than the rest of the Democratic Party. A liberal, they take into account both parties when they have their views, and a Democrat is like a broad term.
Yeah, because when you use the term leftist, someone can be a leftist and Democrat.
Yeah.
I mean, they can be. It's not completely normal, but they can be. And same thing, like you said, you can be a liberal and be a Republican. You can think, for example, a classical liberal is someone who believes in very little government regulation when it comes to industry. But then you would think someone who is a Democrat, who is a liberal, does agree with more regulation when it comes to industry. And again, in the US, our political spectrum is very stunted. So Republicans are very on the right, but Democrats are centrist to a little on the left on the actual political spectrum. So when we say the term leftist, it does mean that we are on the left, which usually is going to be a lot more left than Democrats. Because you can think Bernie Sanders, for example, really isn't that left.
No, he's kind of in the middle. When you look at like a political compass, he's in the middle.
Yeah, and after the 2016 election and like before now, he then went and identified as independent. He was only Democrat in terms of elections.
Yeah.
But he is a lot more progressive than some of the other candidates in the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Definitely. I guess the thing about Bernie Sanders is he's interesting in American politics. It's rare to have people like him, Bernie Sanders, Ilhan Omar, and like AOC in politics because they are very, very progressive. There's this really cool thing called the Overton window, where basically because of right-wing politics, we have gotten so used to right-wing extremists in our country. Like someone, for example, like Trump, who of course we all classify as pretty extreme, is very extreme on the political spectrum. But most people don't see it that way because America's, I guess, entirety of political belief is so right. Yeah. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
It
difference
is.
between a conservative and Republican is a conservative is like as far right as you can get. Like they don't believe in any left leaning views. All they believe in is Republican views. And the Republican, it's not the same thing as a liberal, but they do have some left views.
I guess identity politics is so weird because you can be a Democrat and be pro-life, and you can be a Republican and be pro-choice. So it's really hard to identify exactly what is which side.
Yeah, especially on the especially in the Republican Party, because they don't have as many like names, I guess,
Yeah.
to call
I mean, there
yourself.
probably is, but I think I've
I've just
only
never done
met
enough research on
Republicans who
this.
just identify as Republican or conservative.
There aren't a lot of known labels for that side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they either call
So,
themselves
Weirdly,
or
I
like that
think
people are familiar with.
or like a fascist,
Yeah.
but nobody just comes out and says, "Oh my gosh, I identify in the political scale as a fascist."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like someone being like a communist. Like people don't like to identify as a communist because it's
Should
such
we
a term
talk
that
about
people are so scared of.
the difference between communism and socialism, or is that
Yeah.
like a whole other episode?
I can
Alright.
just do briefly.
Does somebody want to?
I can do it. Okay, so the difference between communist and socialist is basically all communists are socialists, but not all socialists are communists. Socialism is a pretty broad term. Communism basically means a society that is stateless, moneyless, classless. Unlike socialism, where there still might be money going around. The actual definition of socialism is that the means of production are all owned by the workers and there is no capitalism. So basically, the thing with socialism is, for example, Karl Marx believed that a socialist society where everyone gets equal amount from the means of production can lead to a communist society. Of course, as we have seen, it hasn't really worked yet in history, but in ancient civilizations, all civilizations were socialist or communist. A big misconception, I guess, with communism is people think communism, you think North Korea, you think Soviet Russia. But none of those places were actually ever communist. They are all socialist. So, yeah.
Well, what I think when you're running a government is you need a little bit of all of them to help run your government. Like you need some communism, you need socialism, and you need capitalism. Because as we've seen in history, countries aren't doing well with just sticking to one way of running a government. So I think if governments tried to use a bit of all of them, it would go smoothly. But what do I know?
Yeah, exactly. Places
it'd be interesting trying to decide how much of each. It would be very complicated to be successful.
I know Obama, when it comes to his idea on like economy systems, he believes that socialism and capitalism need to be mixed together to have a good government. Like you can think Scandinavian countries, all are very democratic socialists. So all the people in the country are taxed very, very well, very like a lot, and they still get paid. But the thing is that the people that work more still get more money, but everyone is given health care, education. Everyone gets the same basic fine line of life.
It's the same thing in Switzerland. Like in Switzerland, they don't offer private education and they don't offer private healthcare services.
Same thing in Finland, I believe.
Their country believes that, like, why can't everybody just get the same level of healthcare? Why can't everybody get the same level of education as long as it's good? And Switzerland has some of the best education in the world as of now.
Yeah. Same with Finland. It's really interesting to see because if there is suddenly no private education, all the rich people are going to want to pay a lot for their kids to go to a good public school.
Yeah, they'll pay the taxes for the school.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is really smart. And it doesn't make sense to me why some kid who was born in a richer family should have better access to education than another kid.
And it makes it very hard to like get into like really higher education and better jobs. It kind of perpetuates someone being stuck in a lower level and then other people being stuck in
like
higher level.
I'm very fortunate as someone who's on the lower class and lower on the economic scale and such to be in a more, privileged school district. So I don't know, I'm just very fortunate and happy that I get to be in a school district like that. So
yeah, and it's crazy to see schools are controlled on a more local and state level rather than a federal level. So schools in different areas are better than others. Which
Yeah.
me, like when a family is thinking of moving, schools is like a big consideration. Which like it shouldn't be that way. Everyone should be able to go to school that's good and has good education. Like we shouldn't be able to rank schools on which ones are the best and which ones are the worst.
yeah.
They should all just be considered good.
They should all have enough funding to the point where they can be good.
Yeah.
So now,
should also be able to have air conditioning, but that's a whole other
should we
thing.
talk about why we're doing the podcast now?
Yeah, is it alright if I go first?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so I think for all of us, with the recent reignition of the BLM movement during this quarantine since the pandemic has begun, a lot of us have become more aware of, I guess, racial biases and other issues that we have prevalent in our lives that we might have not been completely aware of in the past. And I think this is a way for not only just me as an individual to inform myself and research and learn, but we can educate other people while still doing it. And it's a fun way to do it. And I'm really excited for this. So I think for me, that's a big reason why. And also, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was super well said, Allie.
Yeah, that was actually really well said.
Does somebody want to share
you.
why they started? Like, should we each go around and say something on why we started?
Yeah.
I can.
Okay.
Okay.
Start. So I think why I wanted to do this, well, first of all, somebody suggested it in the group chat. I don't remember who, but I was like, yeah, podcast. But,
oh my god.
Yeah. So thanks.
Don't know,
But,
we had a group chat just like about Black Lives Matter. It was just supposed to be a space that we could all talk about current issues, and it's been really nice since considering the fact most of us don't know each other. And I had brought up the idea of doing a podcast, not specifically with us. I was like, I just want to do a podcast at some point in my life, and we all got so excited. And I can't believe that we're like here recording the first.
I know,
episode.
it's so weird.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah,
And we got to it so fast, and
I
we
know.
were
Yeah.
super headstrong and stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
Maeve, continue.
Yeah, and so like I honestly always was really invested from like a young age, like on current events and also current issues with the world. So like in a place where I can help inform people about it and also learn for myself and talk with other people who are also trying to do the same thing is it's a really great opportunity. So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
I can say something.
Okay.
So I've been super invested in politics, and when I grow up, I want to be president. And
Oh,
Okay, Olivia.
yeah,
that's
pretty
awesome.
much it. I just thought it'd be a good idea, and I thought it'd be fun and a great way to make new friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Next.
Yeah, I'll go. I've always been like, my sister and mom have been very like I would consider them leftists too, which I'm like thankful for. But I was never like completely like educated and like into politics. Like I knew what was going on around me, but not as much as I should have. But then ever since like all this stuff's been going on, I realized that like I don't know, I should take more of a part in it because I have white privilege and I don't know, I should just like use my voice. So yeah, so this podcast like is a really cool thing because I think, I don't know, I feel like everyone might feel this way. I'm not really sure, but we're like just teenagers from like a place, like a small, I don't know, not a small place, but like you kind of feel helpless like with all these big problems going on in the world. So I think this is a cool way to like learn and like
So help try and educate others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because we live in like the suburbs, but it's like redneck suburbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
Kind
gonna
of
say
is,
exactly where we live because that's just
Yeah.
I
But-
can go if you want. But so I want to do this because basically what Maeve said, I've been passionate about politics throughout my entire life, and when I heard that a podcast was going to get made, I was just like, oh my god, can I join this, please? Because I live in a family with differing views from me, so I've never really had a set group of people to talk to about this sort of thing. And so it's just cool to be in a group like that. But while I'm still here, I just like to say that if anyone's listening and they're not really into politics or anything, and since we just talked about the BLM movement, I'd just like to say, please at least get into it a little bit, because sometimes certain groups and minorities are on, like, their lives and livelihoods and well-being are on the line because of the government and politics, basically. So I just, just please follow it a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
So I decided to get involved mainly because, like, I have not been involved in politics for a while. I had always, kind of had the same kind of views, but it's only been recently that I've really started being more left-leaning and really paying attention to politics. I really, really like talking to people, discussing with people. Even though I'm an introvert, I love
too.
talking to people.
Oh, yeah.
So I just decided to do this as a way to have another source of activism, of course, because it is quarantine. It is tough for us to all go out and really do stuff. So this is just a good outlet to advocate and ultimately educate people listening, and to educate myself as well, because if you guys don't know, for each episode it is on a different political topic, so we all have to do research beforehand, so we all get to learn a lot of really cool stuff, and we get to discuss our information during each episode. So yeah.
Stay home, wear your masks outside, and don't meet with more than 10 people.
And wash your
Please.
hands.
Yes.
Yeah, wash your
Yes.
hands. If you're
Oh,
one of
like,
those
yeah.
people that say it cuts off your oxygen, it doesn't. Do some research on how a mask
Yeah.
works.
Please.
You want to explain what we're doing next episode?
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. This is next episode we're going to be talking about the Black Lives Matter movement and how it's helped Black people in communities since then. We're going to be also talking about police brutality, what ACAB actually stands for, and how the All Lives Matter is contradicted. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you want to find resources related to this podcast, please visit our website, www.mashopodcast.com. For updates, follow our Instagram at MASHO Podcast. If you have any questions or episodes requests, you can reach out to us through Instagram or email, mashopodcast@gmail.com, and we will see you next week. Bye!
Yeah, thanks,
Bye.
Bye.
Later, skaters.